Hello, my friend. I am so excited to dive into this week's podcast episode for you on this week's astrology. Oh my goodness. It's going to be a wild week. We have a lot happening in the sky. So, in this week's episode, I'll dive deep as to what to expect from the transits this week during eclipse season. I will then share a story on how I discovered my destiny, what I looked at in my birth chart for this, and how I decided to launch my astrology practice, what I had to go through before this. I will then end off this podcast episode with a tarot reading of what energy to embrace, what energy to let go of. So let's just dive right into it. I want to first say, if you felt as though nothing is really changing for you, you feel like things are still very slow, things aren't really picking up the pace, this is the week. Things could really shift and change for you. This is the period of time when we're in between eclipses. So we just had the lunar eclipse in Virgo on the 14th. We then have a solar eclipse in Aries on the 29th of March. So this time period is going to feel a bit more intense. It could feel like time is sped up, things keep happening, and this eclipse season is very interesting because not only do we have Venus retrograde, we also have Mercury retrograde. If you haven't listened to your Mercury retrograde horoscopes, go listen to those. Honestly, they're super juicy. This is going to be a messy Mercury retrograde because we have Venus also retrograde. And I also want to say that a lot of old players can come back into our life with these transits. Now, let's start off with the major transits of this week. So on March 17th, we have the Sun conjunct the North Node in Pisces. This is a very interesting day. I really interpret this as you could feel very pulled to a spiritual relationship this day. You could feel as though you're super aligned in the work you're doing. You could feel this calling or this intuitive nudge to really process some emotions or to do something very creative and expressive. The North Node represents our fulfillment, where we're heading this lifetime. With it currently in the sign of Pisces, we're really feeling this push to understand the collective energy in a new way. Perhaps you are connecting with a community this day, or perhaps you are feeling this call to start something that is very aligned for you. Take note of what happens this day because honestly, I see this as a very supportive energy for helping you recognize what you want to do in terms of your life path. Now, on March 19th, we have the Sun conjunct Neptune in Pisces. Okay, this is interesting. I want to first say this can be a very romantic energy. This could be a very creative energy. Perhaps you watch a movie that really creatively inspires you. Maybe you do an artistic practice that helps you feel very in flow. This could also look like going into a really deep trance during a meditation, or you are feeling a bit confused about a certain relationship or a certain partnership. This can be a bit confusing. I will say Neptune energy is very hazy, it's very foggy. I sometimes see this as us being very confused and unsure of how we are feeling in our body. Maybe you're feeling a bit confused about a partnership, or perhaps you are feeling confused about how you're physically feeling. You could also feel very sleepy, very tired this day. You could feel a bit more anxious. Keep this in mind because this is more so the negative connotations to Neptune. Yet, I still see this day as being this lovely, lovely, creative, inspirational day. Now, on March 20th, we have the sun entering Aries. Aries season then begins. This is the astrological new year. Okay, so this is exciting. So if you felt like this year feels a lot like last year, you felt like it was met with delays, it's been frustrating, it's been exhausting, it's been tiring. I mean, there's a lot of factors as to why this was happening because Mars was retrograde for quite some time in the beginning of this year, and now Venus and Mercury are retrograde. Yet, with the sun entering Aries, this is beautiful. This is exciting. This is us feeling this renewed sense of self, this new inspiration to take action, to inspire, to tune into our passion, to tune into our drive. This feels invigorating. I am very, very excited for this. Just to backtrack to March 19th and the few days leading up to Aries season, I want to remind you that Pisces season is this mass purge. It is us really letting go of karmic cycles, of ancestral cycles, of this energy that's been weighing us down. So the few days leading up to Aries season, you could feel very exhausted. You could feel as though things can feel a little bit more confusing, and it can be a lot. I also want to mention, by the time this podcast episode comes out, I would have released my letting go affirmations. These are overnight affirmations to help you purge any energetic weight that has been weighing you down. May this be from an ex, may this be from a past situation, a past person, anything that has been holding you back, where you felt emotional, where you felt just honestly exhausted, that you really, really want to move on. I've created these free overnight affirmations for you. And this is super powerful. These act as a cord cutting for you and a specific person or a past situation so that you can just move forward and feel more free, more at peace. When I was recording these, I was bawling my eyes out. Like, these are so powerful. I was sobbing just recording them at the end because these will help you so much in moving forward. I just wanted to create them because I know how important it is to release old energy, because that's going to help you call in the new energy. That's going to help you call in your manifestations, your desires. Again, I don't usually manifest during eclipse season, yet this is such an important time period to let go of the past, especially while it's Pisces season. So I'll leave a link to that down below if you're interested. Those are completely free. And I hope they really help you. Please let me know how you feel afterwards, because it will honestly transform your life to just detach, to really let go of anything that's been holding you down energetically. Now, going back to Aries season and the astrological new year, on March 21st, we have Venus in Aries retrograde sextile to Pluto in Aquarius. This is a very interesting energy. You could feel very intuitively called to really look into your finances in a completely different way. You could feel intuitively called to kind of look at how you've been showing love and affection in a new way. I see this energy as you transforming how you perceive your own love language, how you perceive someone else showing you love and affection. You could also just learn something new about your values. Perhaps you meet up with a community during this day and you start to recognize that they really value how you're showing up. They really value you in terms of what feels authentically you. This also looks like you are potentially meeting up with some old friends during this day. You're meeting up and celebrating something, or you just feel very invigorated and they're giving you new perspectives of love or your finances or your values. This feels very intuitive and this feels very supportive. I will say this energy can still feel a little bit obsessive. This could be used to your benefit. So if you have your own business or you are working in your career, this is a good day to kind of switch up your budget or just look at your budget in a new way. This is also a great day to experiment with a new artistic medium or to really craft your messaging or what you are showing in terms of your values in a different way. Now, on March 23rd, we have the Sun conjunct Venus in Aries retrograde. This is a day where you could potentially hear from an ex or a past person, past friend, situation. This is a day where you could really evaluate how you are showing up for yourself, how you're showing up for your values. Have they changed in any way? This is a very self-reflective energy around, are you giving yourself that self-love? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you showing up for your desires? These are some questions to ask yourself. I have really good journal prompts for this Venus retrograde. I'll leave a link to those down below if you want to just journal things out. This is a great day to do that. Yet I really see this energy as us kind of leaning into, okay, how do I want to perceive myself? You could go back to a previous outfit or makeup routine or just style that you used to have during this day. Maybe you're inspired by past images of yourself. I see this day, honestly, I want you to check your Instagram or just anywhere where you're seeing other people or friends show up in terms of their posts. I feel like a lot of people this day are gonna show photos of their childhood self. I'm just gonna put that out there. That'll be really interesting to see if that does happen, but I really see this day as us looking at our childhood self and understanding, okay, how can I show my childhood self more love and compassion? What did they really want? How can I have more fun in terms of this? What can I tell them right now? So keep this in mind. Very, very interesting. So those are the major transits of this week. I do want to mention that, again, this week can feel very intense, okay, because of this eclipse portal. And with the North Node in Pisces, we have this emphasis of going into our sense of spirituality in a deeper way. We have this pull to align with spiritual partnerships, to align with emotional partnerships, past life connections, but also how can we show up for the collective? How can we help humanity right now? What does this look like? How can you get in touch with your ancestors? What karmic cycles you're breaking? How can you get less attached to the material world with the South Node in Virgo? And how can you realign to remind yourself that you have everything you ever need? If there's anyone that's going to save you, it's you. Remind yourself of this. Now, with the South Node in Virgo, we are letting go of perfectionism, overthinking, feeling like we need to be perfect, feeling like we have to focus so much on the small details. The North Node in Virgo wants you to dream bigger. It wants you to look at the bigger scheme of things, to remind yourself that it's not so serious. I say that with my Virgo stellium. It doesn't have to be so serious, right? Remind yourself of the joy and expansion and growth of the North Node in Pisces. With that, I want to get into our topic for this week. And I want to talk about destiny. How do you know what your destiny is? I love this topic so much. This is the first time I'm recording about this topic. And to be completely honest with you, I think in the past few years, I've been so afraid to use the term destiny, to use that specific term, and I don't know why. I've just been super, super afraid, and I think it's because it sounds so finite. It sounds so, this has to happen for you. And I want you to remember that astrology is such a beautiful tool to help us see what is possible for us, what our path in life is, what our destiny is, yet you always still have choice. I want to emphasize this because sometimes things can be taken so literally with astrology, and this can be helpful in some cases, but also very negative in other cases. And I want you to reinterpret this and see a new perspective that astrology is this guide, this framework to understand your life in a very deep, meaningful way so that you can step into your potential, you can step into what dream life you're creating in terms of your career, your relationships, but who do you want to be? Who do you want to become? How can you be seen? How can you feel validated? How can this help you in terms of your life? And I want to explore that right now in this week's topic. And I'm going to share a story for myself of how did I know that launching my astrology practice was part of my destiny. So let's go back a few years, and I'm going to start with my undergrad. So for those who don't know, my undergrad degree was in graphic design. I spent 5 years at a design university. In terms of this, I stayed an extra year to finish my thesis because I really wanted to focus on my thesis, which was on grief and death and mourning and how interactive installations can help us with the mourning process to heal. Now, after my undergrad, I remember that I went into a few really, really toxic work situations. I won't go through all of them because those are a huge mess. Yet, for myself, I just remember getting into a lot of internships and realizing, oh, I can't believe this is it. This isn't what I was expecting. This isn't what I wanted. And I just remember feeling so crushed, so disheartened, because to be honest, I was not made for a 9-to-5 job. I just couldn't understand it. I was like, how do people do this? Why would they want to do this? Is there another way? I just remember even the good internships. I've had 5 internships, I should say. I really had to learn lessons around self-worth and self-value. And this is because I have Venus as my chart ruler in Virgo retrograde. Yet for myself, I remember, okay, I thought I wanted to work for a design studio, and I was met with restriction after roadblock after horrible situation after horrible situation. And I kept being faced by the universe telling me, this is not it. This is not it for you. And at that time, I remember thinking, I don't know what to do. I first got into one design studio. It was honestly horrible. I had a very toxic boss, a very manipulative boss, and you can see this in my birth chart with Saturn opposing Chiron in my 4th and 10th house. Very, very difficult. I've had very manipulative bosses at the beginning of my career. And for me, it was me understanding, okay, I have to leave. I have to really stand up for myself. So I left this internship. This was my last internship. And I decide to go apply to a design studio, and I go into my first full-time design position, and it was worse than this previous internship because it was a husband-wife couple yelling about me in front of me, and it gave me so much anxiety. I was like, I don't know what to do. This is not what I thought the design world was supposed to be. And I was then faced with leaving that position after accepting my first full-time role ever. I left within a month. I just could not put up with it. I was just like, I can't do this. I can't live like this. And at that time, I told this story before, but at that time, I remember handing my resignation that day and going to my old university and getting offered a TA position right on the spot. This really, really helped me immensely. And I was really grateful, yet I still had a few months before this TA position began. So at that time, I was then freelance designing for other studios, but I got to make my own hours a bit more flexible. It honestly gave me a bit more freedom. And this was very, very helpful for me. It took me a bit of time. There were a few months where I had no work. I was in deep scarcity mode. I was honestly going through a rough time. Yet then I had a lot more support coming in after a few months. And even during this time, I want to say it was a better situation than what I had before, but I always knew deep down I was not supposed to design. I do really, really love design. I really value it. However, I realized it just got really repetitive to me personally, and I didn't really feel fulfilled. I felt like something was missing. And I was like, what is missing? I don't understand. I just worked so hard to finish this degree. Why do I feel like something is missing? Why can't this be it? So after I start my TA position, I started to really see that I really, really love helping people. I love teaching. I love supporting other people in terms of their learning journey. I was only allowed to TA for 3 years, I should mention that, because I was no longer a student. So that was very interesting. I had that restriction, but it actually helped me so much because it pushed me to apply for my master's program in digital media. I then go into my master's program. It was a very intensive program that ultimately helped me so much in terms of understanding a different perspective of what's possible for me as an entrepreneur. I will say it didn't really prepare me for launching my astrology practice, but it did give me a good perspective. Now, during this time, I was really interested in astrology. I was still really diving into my horoscope. Right before I entered my master's program, a friend gifted me the big book of birthdays, and this transformed my life. This was so in depth in terms of me understanding that there was more to who I am based on my birthday, right? So at that time, I didn't know fully how in depth astrology can be. Yet I really started to dive deeper into it. I started to learn more about my moon sign and my rising sign and my Venus sign and my Mercury sign. And then I started to really start to piece together, okay, there's more to this. I need to start learning this. So I finish my master's program. I then get an offer for a professor position at my old university, and I take it. And I'm like, okay, this is it. This is it. I'm set for life. I can be a professor now. It's all good. And I really thought it was it. I really, really thought, okay, this is it. And then I actually start doing the job. And I met with this harsh realization of, oh, this is not what I wanted. This is not it. I feel so empty. I want to help people. I love teaching people. I love guiding people. But a lot of the students there didn't actually want to be there. And as a Cancer moon, that hurt me so much. I was just absorbing everyone's energy, and it was really disappointing. So in my head, I'm like, I need to make a game plan. I need to figure this out. Now, this was during the time of my nodal opposition. This is when your North Node is at the exact position of your South Node. So for example, if you have your North Node in Virgo and your South Node in Pisces, you're going through your nodal opposition because currently the North Node is in Pisces and the South Node is in Virgo. This is also called the nodal reversal. I prefer the nodal opposition. Yet during this time, this is when things can be pushed out of your life if you are not aligned to your life path, to where you're supposed to be. That is going to be made abundantly clear to you. That is going to feel like, oh my goodness, I need to change things up. I remember during this time, it was honestly harder for me than my Saturn return. It is a controversial opinion. I really think the lessons you learn during your nodal opposition are going to help you immensely during your Saturn return if you listen to the lessons, if you listen. Yet during this time, I remember I went through the hardest breakup of my life. I thought I was going to marry this person. I then realized, okay, we're not aligned. This is not it for me. And then also this professor position where I realized, okay, I can't keep doing this. I stayed at that professor position for 2 years. I was teaching design process. And I remember just thinking, okay, I need to build my business. I need to launch my business. And I didn't fully know at that time I was going to become an astrologer. I thought it was something I was going to do in a few years. Yet during this time, I really started to dive into astrology because not only did I go through this harsh breakup that I'm very grateful for now, yet it was honestly very, very difficult for me. It was bringing up past ancestral cycles, it was bringing up a lot of past pain. I was also trying to change careers, and I remember going to one of my mentors, Elisa Kelly, and getting a birth chart reading with her. And this helped me so much. This helped me in terms of understanding, okay, there's more to life. There's a lot more to life. This was supposed to happen for me. There's such a freeing feeling of defining a difficult moment in your life and seeing it as a blessing, seeing it as leading you closer to what you actually want for your life, leading you closer to your destiny. So I had this reading with her, and afterwards I started to study under her and also take more one-on-one private sessions with her. And this helped me immensely in terms of the beginning of my astrology practice. I then got a few more mentors after her and studied a bunch of courses, read a lot of astrology books, and then finally I felt a bit more ready to launch my astrology practice. And I will say I was debating on launching my practice for quite some time, even though I was practicing a lot in terms of reading other people's charts. I will mention, if you're learning astrology, that it's so much easier to learn it if you have other people to read in terms of their charts. This is why I also launched the Moon Sign Creative Community, because it actually really helped me personally in terms of the beginning of my career around astrology and figuring out, okay, how can I help support people in this way and also have others practice astrology, have others practice reading birth charts, have others trade readings with each other, which we do a lot in the Moon Sign Creative Community. I have relaunched the community if you want that support, if you want to learn more astrology, if you want to join us for new moon and full moon events, and also the next eclipse revelations event. Yet going back, I just remember when I finally launched my astrology practice after years of study, years of taking courses, mentorship, and years of grief, to be honest. I had to mourn the loss of a dream I thought I had. I had to mourn the disappointment I felt because I was disappointing my mother. And I say this because my mother really wanted me to be a professor. I really thought that this was it. I really thought that was the thing I was supposed to be doing. Yet, if you look at my birth chart, it was something I had to experience, but it was something that I knew wasn't aligned for me. I have my South Node in Cancer in my 10th house and my North Node in Capricorn in my 4th house. And for me, in terms of this interpretation, it was me letting go of people pleasing in my career with the South Node in Cancer. The South Node in your birth chart can be the trap you get into because it is our generational cycles, it is our ancestral cycles. So, understanding where the South Node is in your chart can help you see what are you learning to let go of this lifetime. You still need the South Node, it gives you these amazing, amazing gifts. However, you can get really stuck in that South Node energy. Now, the North Node this lifetime is what will give you the most fulfillment, your life path, where you're heading. This is your destiny, right? And I really found astrology to be that for me. So when I actually really understood my North Node in Capricorn, which can be very confusing with the North Node in the 4th house, a lot of people see this as, oh, this is just you staying at home or you really focusing on family. I don't interpret it that way at all. The 4th house of home really is also the innermost part of ourselves. It is a part of our chart where it gives you that foundation of understanding who you are. Who are you behind closed doors? Who are you when no one watches? Right? What does this look like? And with my North Node in Capricorn, this was me helping myself, being this stable foundation for myself. I am the person my childhood self always needed as a kid. And it was me understanding I need to set boundaries when it comes to my family because the North Node in Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. I go through all of this in depth in my Finding Your Fulfillment course, by the way, because then I talk about rulership, I talk about what to look at in your chart to understand your destiny, your life path, and which karmic cycles you're breaking. Yet for myself, it was me understanding, okay, my North Node in Capricorn wants me to venture off what my family expected of me, what would make my mother happy, because I have to choose myself. I have to choose my own happiness. This will pay off long term. This might be a slow process, especially with the North Node in Capricorn. This is a slow process. If you have the North Node in Capricorn, I do want to mention because it's ruled by Saturn. This is understanding it might take a bit of time. It will be worth it, but it might take some time to really, really create that foundation for yourself. Do not give up. I really want to emphasize that. And this showed me, okay, I'm on the right path. And I just remember when I launched my astrology practice, I got such a good response. I had 10 clients right off the bat. I felt so fulfilled. And to be honest, I was so scared I wouldn't enjoy giving readings to other people because it is a lot of pressure. It can feel like a lot. It's a huge responsibility. Yet, I knew that the North Node in Capricorn for me was me understanding this responsibility is actually so beneficial for my growth, for what I'm meant to do this lifetime, and to build this foundation for myself to help other people. So I knew that astrology was something for me that would give me this fulfillment, and it did. It did, and I know sometimes it might take a bit longer for people to know what that is for you and to understand, okay, what would make me feel in flow? What would give me that excitement? What would make me wake up in the morning and just be so excited to do the work I love doing? And if you want help with this in any way, I have relaunched my Finding Your Fulfillment course, and I've put it on a special sale for a limited time because I know it will transform your life, because we're going to go through a lot of the major cycles in your life. I go through this very in depth. I go through some advanced astrology in this course on understanding life patterns, of recognizing going back to certain dates in your life based on the North and South node, and how you can kind of predict how new cycles will happen for you, so that you can understand your relationships and your career in a completely new way, so that you can get prepared and excited, but also recognize the patterns so you know what to break, and you can just feel more free, more at peace, more aligned, and more fulfilled. I will be hosting a live Q&A for the course on March 20th. Come join me for that. It's going to be so good, so juicy. I'll be pulling up your chart and I'll give you personal feedback on your birth chart for this. But honestly, even if you can't make it live, the step-by-step instructions of the course can really help guide you in terms of what to look at in your chart. I have examples, celebrity birth chart examples in the course, like Ariana Grande, Rupi Kaur, for example. I go through a lot of people's charts so that you can understand what I'm looking at, what to look at in terms of aspects, what this means. If you have anything in terms of a planet near the North and South node, that gives you a really, really good overview. Really, really juicy. I had one student mention how she just was able to release so much codependency in her relationships after taking this course. She just feels so much better about her romantic relationship, where she's heading in terms of her career. This is so life-changing. So I hope to see you for the live Q&A. Please message me if you have any questions about the course, and I can't wait for you to discover your destiny. Now let's get into this week's tarot reading of what energy to embrace and what energy to let go of. I will say, I was re-listening to last week's episode and I'm like, wow, that was so on point for me. Not to be a Leo, but I am a Leo. I was like, this is super juicy in terms of what I'm sharing, because that really hit hard for me. I had to re-listen to it because sometimes I forget what I actually say in a podcast episode. Now, this week's reading starts off with the Chariot reverse. So this week, you are releasing the need to go, go, go. You do not have to force anything this week. I want to mention that because we're in the eclipse portal. You do not need to force anything to happen this week. It's just going to naturally progress. Try not to overbook yourself this week. This week can feel extra exhausting, so you need that time to rest and recharge. Take some intuitive time for yourself of figuring out what your body needs right now. Figuring out what conversations do you need to have around your emotions. What are you actually feeling? So this is a letting go of feeling like you're not progressing forward. That's a sign for you to stay present. That's a sign for you to really acknowledge how far you've come. I do want to mention, when I always pull the Chariot card, there's this association with medical services. So with it being in the reverse, this is not medical advice at all, but I want you to just check in with yourself and see, okay, how can I better take care of myself? Do I need to book a doctor's appointment? This is your reminder. But this is a card to know that maybe if you've been experiencing something very, very difficult in terms of your health, take some time to reflect on what emotions have you not fully felt and fully process them this week. That's going to help a lot. Again, seek a medical professional. I really, really want to say that. Now, let's get into the next card. We have the Three of Cups, which I love. So this is a card of celebration. I love this. This is a week where you could be meeting up with friends, you could be celebrating a milestone, you could feel like things are picking up with some momentum, perhaps midweek. So I love this energy. This is a card of really celebrating your wins, connecting with people you really, really love, reminding yourself to have some fun. So really, really love that energy for us. We also got the Nine of Wands reverse. So this is a week to release being scared, release being worried. Do what you can to take time and just calm your nervous system this week. So maybe that's a meditation, maybe that is walking, maybe that is doing some breath work, EFT tapping. It's going to help you so much. So take some time to calm your nervous system this week. I do see something for you where if you were worried about something in the past, especially in the last week, I do see you kind of letting this go. So that looks really, really lovely, honestly. Our challenge this week is the Ten of Pentacles. So this is interesting. So I see this as perhaps you think something is the end all be all, or this person is it, or this job situation is it. This is going to make you happy. With this being the challenge for this week, I will say that you can get a realization of understanding, okay, I have to look at this in a different way. Maybe this is not what I expected. Maybe I think this one thing is going to make me happy, but in actuality, you can feel happiness now. Maybe you are recognizing, okay, you have to say goodbye to someone in terms of their path. You are going in different directions. This could also just look like, I want to celebrate this accomplishment, but I don't know if this is actually exactly what I want. So keep this in mind. However, this is going to really, really help you reflect on what actually is stable and grounded for you. Sometimes we think this 9 to 5 job or this particular person is going to make us feel stable and grounded, and this is it, and this is safety, and this is exactly what you wanted. And then you get it, and you're like, oh, wait, never mind. I am not trying to be a buzzkill. I'm not trying to be a buzzkill. Please know this. Yet I asked, okay, what can help us in this situation? We got the Six of Pentacles. So balancing out the scales. So if you felt like you have been overgiving, or you feel like it's not worth your energy, or it's not exactly the type of relationship you want or the type of job you want, this is a week to balance out the scales and see, okay, maybe I need to set more boundaries with how much energy I put into this. Maybe I have to set my expectations. Maybe I need to have a conversation around this. Maybe I have to let go of this challenge or change this dynamic. I know that can be easier said than done, yet I think having a conversation with someone about this and understanding, okay, I need to change how I approach this. That's going to help. This makes so much sense with Mercury and Venus now retrograde. With Mercury now retrograde, I will say communication can get a lot messier. This is going to be a bit trickier, right? Try not to be overwhelmed with things that you need to change right away, or feeling self-doubt, or having this energy of confusion. Make sure you clarify, make sure you're double checking emails, make sure you're double checking contracts. That's going to help so much. Just have a negotiation, have a conversation to see how the situation can be improved. The last card out is the Magician card. So in terms of changing this dynamic, ask for what you want. Call it in. This is an energy of really speaking your truth, first feeling it internally before you see it externally. What this really means is you need to be secure within yourself. You need to really feel that happiness, that peace within yourself. Do self-care practices for yourself to help you reach that, whatever that may look like. And that's going to show in your external world. That love that you're giving yourself is going to show in the external world. That peace and that commitment to the person you're becoming, you're going to see it pay off. You will see it pay off. Remind yourself of this. Your oracle cards are give it the time it needs. So try not to rush the process. Remind yourself of this. Take some time. It's okay if things take a bit longer than expected. We also got look to nature for healing. So take some time to go out into nature, to just be present and enjoy and soak that in. That can give you so much inspiration, that can give you so much energy, that can be so, so restful. Do this for yourself. The last card out is Finding Balance. So I love this card as a Libra rising. This is such a great reminder to take time for yourself. If you're spending so much time with other people, make sure you're spending some time with yourself to recharge, balance out what you have going on for yourself. You're going to thank yourself later. So I really hope this helped, friend. I really hope it helped. Let me know in the comments if this resonated with you. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe because it really, really does help me out. And if you'd like a private birth chart reading with me, I'll leave a link to that down below. Honestly, I love reading birth charts. I have some bookings available for April, so go save your spot. And if you'd like to understand your life path and what would make you the most fulfilled in your career and relationships, check out my Finding Your Fulfillment course. It's on sale for a limited time. Thank you so much for watching, friend. I'm sending you so much love. Just remember, the universe has your back, and with peace and love, take care.